Okay.
I think you took that exact same picture.
Welcome to our house. My name is Erica. And I'll be showing you through the parts of the house that you can't see on the South Side tour. But if at any point you have any questions, just feel free to ask me. I'll start by going over the family tree. It starts with Martha Dandridge. She first marries Dane Park Custis in 1749. Dane Park Custis was a very wealthy plantation owner from Virginia, and they had these two children together, John and Martha Park Custis. But 8 years into their marriage, Daniel dies from illness, and 2 years later she marries George Washington, and he helps her raise her two children at Mount Vernon. Martha, she dies at a young age from an epileptic seizure, but John Park Custis eventually marries Eleanor Calvert. And they had these 4 children together. But while John was serving as an aide to George Washington at the Battle of Yorktown, he dies from yellow fever. So the 2 oldest daughters, they stay with their mother, and the 2 youngest children, they go to live with George and Martha Washington at Mount Vernon. So when you see this painting of George and Martha Washington with the 2 young children, that is them with Martha Washington's grandchildren, George Washington Park Custis and Eleanor Park Custis. And so George Washington Park Custis, he was very close to the Washingtons, and he basically idolized George Washington. And when he came here in 1802, he decided that he was going to build his home as the first memorial to George Washington. But George Washington Park Custis, he marries Mary Fitzhugh in 1804, and they have one surviving daughter, Mary Anna Randolph Custis, and she marries Robert E. Lee in 1831. And they have 7 children together that they raised here in this house. And they live here until 1861 and leave at the start of the Civil War. Any questions about the family tree? Alright, well, so George Washington Park Custis, he comes here in 1802 after Martha passes away, and he inherits this property, which was 1,100 acres at the time. He decides to build his home. He starts with this portion of the house, built this first in 1802. And here, this was the cellar. And here in the cellar would have been the winter kitchen, which was only used during the cold seasons to help warm the house. And on the other side of the steps would have been the wine cellar. They did make their own wine here. So you can walk around, take pictures.
So was this considered a plantation at the time?
So the house was up here where the cemetery is down below. Was that farmland then? That they were actually farming?
What were they farming?
So they only had vegetables, fruits and vegetables that they used to help sustain this parkland. No cash crops.
And how many, and they had slaves in the family, I'm assuming? They had slaves in the family at the time? There were slaves here?
65.
That's a lot for not having a restaurant.
So what year did, was it John Park Custis or George Washington Park Custis that had Mariah?
George Washington.
This one, George Washington. And what year was she born? Mariah.
There's another family tree in the back that will show you.
1803.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
1803.
1803?
Before he married.
Oh, before he married her? Okay.
So that's his second wife.
No,
No.
he only
She
married one.
wasn't,
Oh,
she was
oh.
enslaved. She was,
Oh.
she was a concubine.
Got it.
Yeah.
To keep the house warm. That's it.
It's so hot.
Okay, so this is keep the house warm.
Yeah, this was only used during the cold season.
Okay, to the house above it, and then the other one over here.
It's used outside the slave quarters.
Okay, we're in the house here.
Alright, well, whenever we're ready, we continue up to the pantry.
You said there's a wine cellar over there? Okay. Okay. Wine cellar, wine cellar.
Just kind of a little intuition. Or I've had that wine that's turned into not on purpose.
What, then type on? Go ahead, because they have some.
This would have been the pantry of the house. When they slightly finished cooking either in the winter kitchen or the summer kitchen, they bring food here and put the finishing touches on it before they serve it to any family or house guests in the dining room. And this being the first part of the home that was built in 1802, these are the first family bedrooms. For George Washington Parke Custis and his wife, they did sleep down here before the home was completed in 1818.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, man. Can you read what that says on the dress? No. It says wedding, somebody put that wedding dress. I got the first one.
1860s wedding dress.
Oh, okay.
I heard about the family parlor.
Donated by Miss
Reproduction. Okay, I can see.
Nina Gutierrez. Yeah, 1860s reproduction.
Well, because back then they slept separate. Had his and hers. You want to do a little bit for the people together? You were saying this is a schoolroom for who? I put here, we put here. Oh.
Mary Custis, and she helped her mom teach the enslaved people how to read and write here also.
This room right here was a schoolroom
And a soda room.
and a storeroom?
Gates here, okay.
Schoolroom
I know, but they also said.
and storeroom.
And.
Manumission documents.
Yeah, there's a set down here, everybody.
Earthenware, blue and white picture belonged to Mariah Syphax. Probably used in her personal quarters. Autograph book belonging to William Syphax while working as a chief messenger at the Secretary of the Interior's office. Syphax was the son of Charles and Mariah Syphax. The album autograph, which contains 209 signatures from prominent people such as George Washington Parke Custis, Abraham Lincoln, Chief Justice Robert Taney, John Jay, William Blake Garrison, Frederick Douglass. William Syphax died on June 15, 1891 at the age of 66. And then these are family photos. Features Charles Syphax, husband of Mariah, holding his grandson, William B. Syphax. Mariah Carter is in the second one, after her wedding to Charles, and she was reported to be the daughter of Ariana Carter, a slave maid thought to be from Mount Vernon. It is widely believed she was fathered by George Washington Parke Custis, son of Charles and Mariah Syphax. William was a free black. He rose to become the chief messenger of the Department of Interior after the Civil War. Syphax was a tireless advocate for the desegregation of schools. So in the 1800s, children were homeschooled. As a girl, Mary Custis learned to read and write in this room and later taught her children here. They went to boarding school at the age of 8. A devoted Episcopalian, Mrs. Custis felt it her duty to educate enslaved children to read the Bible and prepare for eventual freedom. It became a tradition among Arlington women as 3 generations taught the enslaved reading, writing, spirituality, childhood hymns, despite a law passed in 1831 forbidding the practice in Virginia. Oh, let me see if I can catch up with the tour. Oh, did they? Oh, maybe.
So that's not Santa, that's a classroom.
Oh, wow.
And the children raised in bedrooms here. So the 3 boys, they share the corner bedroom. This little room was first the changing room for the children, but eventually converted to a guest room. The oldest girl Mary got this next corner room to herself because she didn't get along with her sister. There were 2 bedrooms there, their cousin Marcy. And the 3 youngest sisters, they shared this bedroom.
Is that a little playroom there?
And actually,
The way this is decorated and painted, what time frame was this done?
the whole house is like I was right before the leaves left.
So these are colors from that. I know when you get it out first, how intense the colors are. More pigment was more expensive. It's called pastel, for decoration.
This room is the nursery and a playroom. It's also a Sunday school for the children and the children being enslaved. The only original floors in the house are inside the bedroom.
It's not original.
So you said these were where the slaves would have come up that way? Would this be the main? So it's still pretty steep stairs. That's one room, this is 2 rooms.
Okay, so this is the slave entrance.
Is there bedrooms up there, or just your reaction?
Sorry.
Okay. We've got actual stairs as far as I know.
What was it for as a purpose? Storage. It's their storage. That's how the soldiers were in the
So 1861, Robert E. Lee, he decided he was going to join the Confederacy at the start of the Civil War. So as soon as he made that decision, he left his property and never returned. And the Union Army, they came and took over the property at the start of the war, and this house became the Union headquarters. The soldiers, they just sleep in the house, they slept upstairs in the attic. And while they were here, they left down from graffiti throughout the house, right on the walls. And any walls you see that's left uncovered is missing a layer of paint, has Union soldier graffiti. When we get back down to the first floor, I can point out some of the graffiti that's left in the house from the Union soldiers.
So no one
I
has
think
ever.
that is interesting when you talk about the lady who stayed. So when the police left, somebody stayed, right?
Selena Gray. So Mrs. Lee, she left the house keys with Selena Gray, her personal name, who lived in the slave quarters back here behind the house. So when the Union soldiers came and she saw that they were destroying a lot of the items that were here in the house, she went to their commanding officer and told him that they were destroying Martha Washington's china. So because of her, most of the items that were here in the house were saved from being destroyed or stolen.
I know this is a window, but did they, that looks like a half, did they open that back? Was that for bringing things up or was that a?
For different furniture and stuff.
How would you like to try to get them beds up these snackers?
What's your background? What did you study?
African American history.
So how long have you been here?
Over a year.
Is this your first park or were you in the? So over a year would be that you're full time, not a seasonal.
What are we going to see now? Okay.
She only had two. Is that what I got? I wonder if she was infertile or if it was not a good marriage.
So this part of the house would have been the hunting home. Come this way. So this part of the house would have been the hunting hall, and George Washington Parke Custis, he enjoyed hunting in the wooded areas behind the house with his grandsons, and this is where they would have hung their trophies. They're not original to the family, but they are from the time. But George Washington Parke Custis, he was also a painter. He painted himself in the 1830s.
And so a lot of their descendants are extremely famous in the city.
Looks pretty.
We're going where?
Well, I guess this is where they're saying
This would have been the family parlor of the house. George Washington Parke Custis greeted his house guests here in this room. And this was also where Mary Custis Lee would have prayer twice a day. Whoever was in the house, whether it's family house guests or slaves, everyone participated in prayer. Above the fireplace is an original portrait of Mary Custis Lee, and that is her engagement portrait. Above her is her father, George Washington Parke Custis. To his left is his wife, Mary Lee Fitzgerald. To his right is one of his sisters, Elizabeth. And there's an original painting here on the wall of the Madonna and Child.
I'm sorry. You said Madonna and Child?
Yeah, it did say there was film on the glass, on the windows, there's a film.
okay, keep certain types of.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're going to an unknown area, this is for someone in their second or third generations that used to the United States, or you try to go overseas, well, now you're more than another ship. I'm sure some of them have had their grandparents that this
This is where, also where Robert Lee proposed to Mary Custis Lee, and they married there under the arch in 1831. Any questions? Alright,
You were asking about her other
Is this the graffiti you were talking about?
Oh, it is on this map here?
Graffiti, actually, I can't see.
There's a couple.
There's an even bigger all the way up to 2008.
Oh, okay, let me get this one over here. You said up, oh yeah, to 2008.
Yeah, the one, this shows how the split happened and tells the history behind it.
Okay,
How the Syphaxes that were slaves under George Washington Parke Custis can all relate their ancestry back to Martha Washington.
okay.
But as far as their descendants outnumber the Lees 10-1 or so, as of 2008 or so, we have their family tree in the last room on the way out.
Interesting. Why? That's a lot of Syphaxes.
Well, it's like there was a lot of history here that was beyond just the Lee family
Yeah.
and the Civil War. Everyone likes to talk about the history books of Marianna Randolph Custis marrying Robert E. Lee and having their 7 children here.
Right.
But there were over 150 people here.
Wow.
So the Syphaxes, there were 6 families here, African American families. 2 of them, the Syphaxes and the Grays, really made it into American history on their own accord, not
Okay.
having anything to do with the Lees.
Okay.
The Syphaxes, well, actually the Grays, Selina Gray saved George Washington's treasury, all his furnishings during the Civil War, armed with only a set of keys and a broomstick.
Wow.
And she remained behind when the Lee family left, out of a request from Marianna Randolph Custis. So, yeah, if it wasn't for her, well, yeah, you'd be, you wouldn't have your stuff at the Capitol Building, Mount Vernon, or anything else. And that was because she told the supervising officer here for the Army of the Potomac that was stationed here, this was
Yes.
the majority of the Civil War forces at the time, at the start, that soldiers were coming in here using Martha Washington's chinaware as target practice. They were stealing curtains from here that
Oh,
were
wow.
part of the Washington family, and they're going through the basement trying to steal items out, decorate their own homes, which of course this is wrong. So
Wow.
the general who was in charge of the Army of the Potomac took all those items and ordered everyone to put it in the U.S. Patent Office, and they sealed it out. Well, they kept it there till the end of the war. So that was Selina Gray's contribution.
Okay.
Syphax is even had more, but I mean, you got, why we have this information here, they were one of the first success stories after the Civil War ended.
Yes.
But hopefully I'm not going into too much detail on it. So anyways, to explain this, George Washington Parke Custis had relations with Martha Washington, a slave that he had inherited from his mother, Martha Dandridge Custis Washington. Now, she gets pregnant first before his own wife.
Okay.
And so there's a little bit of complication there.
Right.
George Washington Parke Custis doesn't really want to acknowledge this, really. But, so what he does, somebody hit the, our little sensor thing.
Okay.
But anyways, what happens is that she's given birth at around 1802, 1803 or so. And George Washington, so she's born into slavery.
Right.
But George Washington Parke Custis sells her to a Quaker for $1. Quakers do not believe in slavery. So the Quaker spends the time and writes out her paperwork for her freedom, leaving George Washington Parke Custis out of the mess. Marina Carter then moves back to Arlington Estates on her own free accord.
Yes.
And George Washington Parke Custis gives her 17 acres of land when she moves back and her own log cabin. And she gets to marry a slave, the man of the house, the butler, Charles Syphax.
Okay.
And that's the first marriage that happens underneath that archway in the family parlor in the back. And their descendants, besides outnumbering the Lees 10-1, they continue also to live here into the Civil War and after. They have their permanent homestead here. And give you an idea of what some of their descendants did, this fellow right here, John Syphax, was one of the first pretty much government position. I'm not sure if he was a state rep or as part. He was a state rep. Yeah, he was a state representative for the state of Virginia. He was the first African American.
Wow.
after the Civil War.
Okay.
William Syphax, he held 3 elected positions. And what it shows over here was that William Syphax was served as the chief messenger of the Department of Interior. He was a delegate to the General Assembly, and he was a justice of the peace. He knew legal ruling. He fought to extend Freeman's Village, which was a slave refugee camp that was here, to educate slaves, get them back on their feet. Missionaries would come in and give them a job or something. That way they could, once they learned a trade, they could go out into the rest of the world. But it also provided shelter from the rest of the world from them.
Okay.
And so he fought for that. And John, when the U.S. government pays for this, so when eventually the U.S. government says, okay, we've let you stay here long enough, this is only meant to be a temporary solution, you got to leave now, you got 90 days to go. And this was about 20 years later. Some people that had actually been living here had homes and bought land here. John Syphax comes in and basically fights at the state level and says no. They should receive just compensation for the homes that they bought and that they made. They might be in bad condition, but they should receive something so they're not completely out on the streets. So, through his efforts, the U.S. military comes in and basically surveys the land to figure out what was worthy, what the value of some of these homes that they're forcing people to leave from. And then the families were given giving money according to what the condition of their home was in before they left. And they also fought that they were being let go during Christmas time, but in return the state was saying, well, you have 90 days, we want you to leave when it gets warmer out. So that was also one of the other things that John fought for.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
So, is the Colored Troops lecture, where is that going to be?
The African American. Oh yeah. Some of the first African American troops were trained here too.
Oh, they were?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have
We're having a program today
over the Tomb of the Unknowns.
The Civil War unknowns at 11 o'clock.
Yes.
So I think they're setting up right
The
now.
Civil War where?
Unknowns.
Unknowns. That's a big
Oh,
tomb, 2,100
okay,
at
at
the
the
end
Unknown
of the Rose Garden.
Soldiers, that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Not Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, Tomb of the Unknowns.
Tune of the Unknowns. Okay, so I have to find out where that
It's at the end of the
is.
Rose Garden, 2,100 dead. Big 10
Down
by
here?
20 vault. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're going to have this, they're part of the African American Regiment for reenacting for Civil War. And they're
Fantastic.
going to be there too.
Okay, you said at 11? She
had
said
the
at
time,
11.
11 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, that gentleman, William Syphax, was the first one to start the African American school system in Washington, D.C.
Which one is William?
William, right here.
okay. Fantastic.
So John was the first representative in the state of Virginia that was African American.
Uh-huh.
William started the African American school system. And I'm sure one or two of his brothers and stuff were also teachers at that school.
Well, thank you. Thank
You're
you so much. Okay.